Hey everybody, it's Clothier here, and we have another episode of our Find and Flip Summit kind of speaker meet and greet here. I'm joined by the one and only Sean Terry. Sean, how you doing, brother?
What's up? How's it going, Ken?
I'm doing
Glad to
good,
be here.
except I just ran up the stairs to do this, and I'm in Breckenridge, Colorado. So running up the stairs when you're at 10,000 feet is a very different thing than running up the stairs when I'm back in La Jolla, California. So
Turn flush white and you
I'm
pass
like,
out, and
okay, so if you see my eyes roll back in my head as we're talking here, you'll know why. No, I'm just kidding. So, guys,
no worries.
we're in the final stretch here. We're 3 weeks out from the event, and I'm really excited to again bring you another episode to introduce you to the guys and girls that are going to be speaking at the event, training at the event, sharing their insight with you. As I promised, I have filled the event with, I would call this my power team, the guys and girls that I lean on a regular basis, mentors, peers, people that I really admire, people that have bring a ton of value to my business, our operations, that we learn a lot from, again, that we talk to on a regular basis and share ideas with. And Sean is right at the top of that list. So I'm excited, Sean, that you're here. And I want to just kind of jump into it and give some people some insight into really what it is that you're going to be talking about at the event. Because for those of you that don't know Sean, Sean is an extremely successful wholesaler in the Phoenix market. He also runs a podcast that is wildly successful as well. And I think probably the biggest single reason why what I wanted you to come speak about, Sean, was you have a very unique way of doing business that I think has from my perspective has made you, as part of your secret to success, right? I think you look at the business from a couple different angles that are just not traditional. So if we can, let's talk about that here for a few minutes.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And I just want to say I thank you so much for having me here, and always talking to you has been enlightening in all aspects of it. And and I can tell you from people listening right now that when you enter into a business, right, there are people that pioneer ahead that give you the possibility of what you could or can achieve. So Kent, for me, has been one of those people that I have watched and admired as he went out and pioneered success of giving you the possibility of what you could do. So watching him and his success and his career for me has been a great leadership to for someone to aspire to be like, from a business standpoint, and actually a personal standpoint too, because it's there's we can talk about scaling businesses and doing this and doing that and doing all these things that are great in business, but then you have a life too. And a very successful person once told me, he said, until you get your life in order, everything else is going to be a wreck. So as an example of a person, you've got your life in order and you've got your business in order, and that's why everything just clicks for you. And it's pretty cool, and we're aligned in those similar ways. So
Amen, brother.
I'm really
Thank you very
excited to
much
be
for saying
here.
that. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about the event, is because when you go to an event like that and you can see what having the entire package. I mean, I've been to some events and they just talk about getting rich and making money, getting rich and making money, but then guess what? Their guys are going out and getting divorced, or they don't, they're not engaged with their kids, or they don't have a good family life and stuff like that. But imagine having the entire package. So, to get back to what we're talking about here, and it talks about what I'm going to be talking about the event, and it's interesting because. Ken asked me to talk about a couple different things, and one of them that resonated was the ability to in wholesaling business. It talks about, when we're talking about scaling a business, we talk about business building tactics, like creating a vision for your company, creating a vision statement, developing a scorecard so you can know what numbers you track, tracking the correct KPIs, having a consistent marketing budget, and being able to hire the right team, the rock stars that can go out and produce that. So those are a lot of things that you're going to learn at this event, which you think you need to know, right? Which are good things to scale. And you can read books like The Traction, which is a phenomenal book that allows you to learn a lot of those different things. But then from a wholesaling standpoint, it pulls it all together. So I want to come from kind of like a different angle, and a different angle is a cooperative way of taking a group of people and being able to do more, but also inspire other people that can change their lives as well. So through that process, when you realize and you start looking at KPIs in your scorecard, in your business and stuff like that, you realize that what drives this business is marketing, right? Marketing drives the amount of leads you get in, amount of deals you get in, stuff like this, is all driven from marketing. But in marketing there's a cost associated to it. So now if you get into, what are non-marketing things you could do? So back in 2000, it was like 2010, I was doing deals here locally in Phoenix, and marketing was tied to the amount of success that you could potentially have. And I looked at it and was like, well, what could I do? And I pulled together a small group of people. We were at a what's called a Paradise Bakery here off of 24th Street in Camelback in the Biltmore district, and we had a small group of people. It was like 10 to 15 people, and we all gather in the corner and grab some bagels and sit around and we talk about success and this, that, and the other, and talk about different things and answer questions. And what happened is that little group, what happened is they had all very similar questions. So they'd be calling me. Oh, and I do these meetings every couple of weeks, and they'd be calling me about similar questions. And I'm like, well, what if I could create a podcast that could answer all these questions, right? For these people, I could send them to the podcast. They could listen and learn, and then we could joint venture on deals. They could bring deals to me. We could joint venture on them, and we could split the profits, right? And it wouldn't cost me any marketing money. I could just inspire them, teach them, motivate them, give them the direction, and then boom, what could happen? Well, at the time I was listening to a podcast and in iTunes, and there was maybe two real estate podcasts. There's Jason Hartman, and then the Real Estate Guys Radio. Those were the two ones of all the podcasts in 2010. They're in iTunes, and I was listening to them, and they're both excellent for specific niches, but there wasn't really anything about wholesaling. So I'm like, well, how do you start a podcast? I'm like, oh, I don't know how to start a podcast. So what do? You go to Google. So I go to Google and how to start a podcast, and I found this Jason Van Orden dude, and then this, that, and the other, and da-da-da, and I started learning all this stuff. So, and I didn't have any technical skills, web skills, never built a website, didn't know what WordPress was, didn't understand what HTML code was, forums, opt-ins, all that. I didn't understand all that stuff. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just try to figure it out. So I created this shell site, and the domain flipped to freedom. And I said, well, I'll just put out the best content I know that could teach people, that could bring it. And that was the extent of my overall hierarchy view of this whole entire thing. I'll just throw this thing together on WordPress. I bought this theme it was like Woo Themes. It was like shell theme. And I put it on there and created a video and did that. And that was Flip to Freedom. And so I started recording a podcast. And the first podcast episode I recorded was in my car, and I had a little handheld mic. And the reason why I did a car, because I didn't have an office. In my house, and if you knew my kids, they're as loud as I am, right? So, house is like, and if I'm home, my wife's like, I have a honey to-do list. So it doesn't matter what time of the day it is, because I'm home. I've got stuff, I've got stuff to do there. So I'm like, where's the only place that I could have that's quiet? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it in my car. So it was like 110 degrees out in Phoenix, Arizona. It actually was, yeah. What was it? It was like April, so it was about 90 to 100. So I closed all the doors. I sit in it. It's a shopping. It was like a Safeway, or like a Piggly Wiggly, or what they call there. And I was sitting in the parking lot, pulled over in the backside there under a tree, recording the podcast. It was echoing in the car. And I remember I couldn't have the AC on because it would blow, and you would hear it in the mic. So that was my first episode.
That's awesome.
And so I started recording all these shows. I pull over in the car, and that's how I started the podcast. And I just stuck it up, and I put it in iTunes, and I said, "Here, guys, go listen to this as I answer some of your questions, and then you can learn about wholesaling." And the thing is, I didn't hold anything back. My intent was to teach them everything they could possibly know, so they could turn around and bring deals, and we could partner on deals with it. So we started doing that, and they started listening to it. But what happens with iTunes is not local. iTunes is global, right? So we put it out there. Next thing you know, I got people in, Jordan. I got people in, in California, New York. I got people in all the 196 different countries, all starting listening to the podcast, starting asking questions and how they can do deals with us and how they can work with us. And it expanded to a huge reach. Now, what happened is I didn't know that I was using one of the most incredible success principles out there known to man, right? It's talked about in Think and Grow Rich. It's talked about in the Go, what is it called? The Go Giver. It's talked about in a lot of different success principles. And what is that success principle? Success principle is the more people that you help become successful, the more successful you will get. So I was using that principle, but not knowing it because I'm not that smart. And anyway, so I'm sitting there and I'm teaching all these people, and people are having success, and they're going out and doing deals, and they're getting results, and they're sending me copies of checks and getting these testimonials and these videos. I'm like, holy cow, this is amazing. And then it blew up to where now we have 3 million listeners in every major in 196 different countries across the world, and we have a membership site where people can submit deals and stuff like that, and it's grown to where it's a massive business in itself of not just obviously education, but teaching people how to go out and have success, but then also have the ability to partner with them on it and be able to do that. And then that little tiny group of people at the 24th Street in Camelback, Paradise Bakery, turned in now to a meetup where we have in our office every once a month. We have 100 plus people in our office here, and they're going out and they're bringing us deals, and they're talking to us, and we inspire them and motivate them and teach them. So the premise becomes, in our wholesaling world, and what we do, it's a very selfish or self-centered type of business, meaning that we're going to market, we're going to keep all of our information, quiet. We're not going to teach anybody. It's a scarcity mindset. We're not going to tell people our marketing tactics, our marketing secrets, our direct mail pieces and stuff. And we're going to keep all our information in, and we're not going to tell anybody. And then we're going to go market for a house, tie it up, turn around, sell it, make as much profit as we can. It's very, very self-centered, and it's a very shallow way to look at success in this business. But if you come from an abundance mindset, meaning that there's an abundance mindset says there's more than enough. A scarcity mindset says there's not enough and I have to take as much as I can get. So, think about from what standpoint you're at. If you're listening to this, you come from abundant mindset where you're willing to share of yourself and share information and help people and teach people and inspire people and motivate people? Or do you come from a scarcity mindset where you feel like you have to hoard all the information, there's not enough? If you have that mindset, you'll never grow.
Right.
Right. You'll never grow. You'll never become successful. You're never going to achieve that a massive success because you're always going to feel like there's a shortage. If you're coming from an abundant mindset, then what's going to happen is, amazing things will happen. So, that tiny shift and then being able to find different avenues to be able to reach people, which, you can reach people through writing a blog post. You can reach people through writing a book like Kent wrote about reverse wholesaling. So you can reach people that way. You can reach people through a podcast. You can reach people through creating YouTube videos and putting up on YouTube. The bottom line is not how you reach the people, but it's more that you come from an abundant mindset and you want to make that intention to turn around and reach people, and you can build something that's just amazing.
Well, I think I think you touched on a ton of great stuff, and I mean it's exactly what you're going to be talking about at the event, the point I want people to understand here is that when we talk about scaling a business or growing a business, you hit it right at the beginning. It isn't always operational. It isn't how to go hire, how to go, establish your vision and how to put your marketing plan in. I mean, all those, that's the mechanical part of it, and it's fairly simplistic. Once you break through some mental barriers, executing on those things is fairly simplistic. Dude, I've said this to you many times, and it's as big a reason as any why we're in business together, is that I have a tremendous amount of admiration for you. And just in 10 minutes there, it's real easy to see and for people to tap into on how different it is that you approach it, because the barriers of entry to almost everything you just talked about are fairly low. Right?
Yeah.
It takes nothing to go create a YouTube video. It takes nothing to go off and create a blog post. If you want to go figure out how to do a podcast, I mean, we're going to talk about it at the event, but it's fairly simplistic. It's straightforward. Do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. It's something that can be executed. There's very little cost in all of this, but you have to come from a place of, listen, in order for me to grow and scale my business, I can't be chasing money. And I think that's a
Right.
huge thing. And you said it, in a different way, but that's the reality of it, right? Is that it's,
Right.
look, when we started our business, there wasn't a good real estate investor association in Memphis, right? So my father and we just started it, and it grew to
Great.
be a two
Yeah.
or 300 member association. It was self-serving, and that we ultimately knew that, hey, if we helped enough other people, that deals would kind of flow back to us. My information business is very much the same. I mean, it would have been very simple for us to go out there and never share all of our tools, right? The cash buyers, private lenders, motivated sellers. We didn't have to bring any of that to market. We were being very successful keeping those internally here. But we ultimately felt like if we did do that, that it would present other opportunities to us. And what do you know? Now we flip hundreds of properties every year that otherwise, we probably wouldn't have, right? So you can't really go into it always thinking about it operationally. You have to come into it thinking, man, let me just go out there and find something I'm really passionate about, push as much information out there as I can, and then see the end game, understand that it's there, but not be chasing it. I guess is probably the best way to say it, right?
Yeah, and you know what's interesting on that point is that let's say you have a scarcity mentality, right? And you do all the operational stuff correctly, right? And you set up all the operational stuff, and you have the systems, procedures, you have the team, you have the staff, you do all that stuff, you know, and but you have a scarcity mentality, it won't work.
You're
It
exactly
will
right.
work to a certain point, or what's going to happen is it's going to work because then it's going to become not fulfilling. And then you're going to be searching for something to fulfill that void of some sort of fulfillment factor. So what if you could have an abundant mindset, be able to have all those systems and processes in place, then be able to inspire and motivate other people to become more, and then you can partner with them. Then you have not only an expanding global, massive businesses growing, but the bottom line is now you have a fulfillment factor, and you get to have all the systems and process, everything works, where now instead of having an engine over here that you're the one that's trying to pushing, you have a whole team of people that's pushing over here, and it's amazing what the difference is, in the factor, because I know people that have been down this path before, and it doesn't work. They get frustrated, they get bored, and it just doesn't work,
Well, what you've done,
and
and you've perfected it, right? Is figured out how to become the center of influence for your market, and an even bigger market than just your local market. You have become a big power of influence across the country, and that is all just a product of just putting these things in place and get going, and then suddenly think about it. I mean, everybody that's watching this, I just want you to think about this for a moment, because many of you have a challenge with whether it's properties or whether it's buyers or systems or people or whatever. Just imagine for a moment when people are fighting to become a part of your world, right? Where
yeah.
the sellers are, people are bringing you deals, when people want to buy your properties, where people want to partner with you, when people want to be in your office, they want to bring their talents and resources to your organization, because you've created this environment where people just see the value in surrounding themselves with people like you. That is what Sean is going to talk about at the event, and that is as big a reason as any why you need to be there, so that you're going to be learning from one of the best guys. So, Sean, 3 weeks, brother. I appreciate you doing this, man. I appreciate you giving some people a little glimpse of what we're going to be talking about, and I appreciate you sharing, as always, dude.
Thank you so much, Ken. It's been a pleasure, and I hope this intrigues, and I know you've got some phenomenal speakers and what you're going to be talking about and stuff. But this is just a little tweak that if you implement in your business, not only can you get massive amount of fulfillment, but you get massive amount of success. And it's really cool, getting an email that a property is recorded and you get a $40,000 wire coming to your account. That's cool, right? But as it becomes all like that, it's like, okay, it's expected type of thing. But it's really cool getting an email from someone that says, you know what, I lost my job. I had no way to support myself. I got up and going. I got started. I listened to your podcast. I read the book, and then I turned around. And now, last year, I made $260,000. It's changed my life. I get to spend more time with my kids, more time with my family. You've changed my life. That is another level, another step.
Amen, dude.
It's just amazing. So,
That is impact, brother. That is impact, and you're having a tremendous impact on a lot of people, brother. And I appreciate
so
you
thank
joining me in a few weeks. I appreciate you doing this, taking the time to do it. And guys, I appreciate you being here. And
you.
we will see you in a few weeks at the Find and Flip Summit. Peace. See you,
Sounds
dude.
good.
Take
See
care,
ya.
man.
Take care.